Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by...
For over 30 years, Vanguard Outdoors has made the gear that turns a regular hunt into another fine day of field. We know that a good shooting stick or a nice pair of binoculars can make or break your day. Our design teams include serious hunters who work hard to bring you the best sporting optics, shooting sticks, tripods, bags, and more. We are Vanguard Outdoors.
Hello everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. We hope you enjoyed last week's episode where we featured our footage from Big Buck Night East that happened at Outdoorama in Novi. On this week's show, we're going to share with you our footage from Big Buck Night West that happened at the Ultimate Sports Show in Grand Rapids. You won't want to miss that, so you stay tuned. I'm Jenny Sialik, and it's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by
Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's destination since 1988. Featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com.
The Michigan Charter Boat Association has provided education of the Great Lakes fishery for over 52 years. Information about Great Lakes fishing opportunities as well as captain advocacy can be found at michigancharterboats.com. Mid-Michigan Ponds has been building and maintaining ponds and lakes throughout Michigan for nearly 25 years. We combine biology and heavy equipment to make pondscapes that are sustainable and fishable. More information at midmichiganponds.com.
Wowza, our first hunter of the night here at Big Buck Night West is Greg Lipple from Mackinac County up in the UP with this beautiful 10-point, 143 inches with your compound bow. Tell us what happened.
Like 5 years of history with this 6-year-old deer, and not many daylight pictures of him. I had a picture of him on the 26th of September in the daylight, so that kind of changed everything, and shot him on my second sit on October the 5th.
Okay, so early in the season. So obviously you knew this buck. Tell us how he came in or kind of what was going on up in that tree stand.
It was pretty, there's very few deer in that spot where I hunt, and there was, I had a few different pictures of does and whatever, and I had a doe and a fawn come past the edge of the swamp where I was hunting. And then I had another buck that he was with a lot, like a 2-year-old 8-pointer, and they were together all summer, all early fall, and I saw that 8-pointer, and then I heard a second deer, and I just knew right away that it was him. So my heart started racing like a son of a gun. And long story short, he ended up coming in, and I shot him with like 10 minutes of daylight left, and here we are.
Wow. So how far away was the shot? And did you know right away it was a good shot?
I actually thought I missed him right away. I texted my brother right away that I just missed my biggest deer ever, and a deer I've been hunting for a long time. And long story short, I did not. It was like 25-yard shot, and here we are.
All right, so were you able to get out of the stand right away? How were your legs doing?
They were pretty shaky, about how they are now. But I think we waited about 2 hours just because I wasn't sure, and then I got down, and I saw the arrow that there was blood, and there was a good blood trail going from there, so that kind of changed everything, and waited a while, and we just went at it really slow, and the rest is history.
Kylie Thompson is our next lucky hunter. This scored 149 in Allegan County. This is an 11-point shot with a 350 legend. Kylie, tell us what happened on this hunt.
So it was September 9th. My cousin and I were finishing off our hunter safety. And when my dad came to pick me up, he said that he was on camera, so I missed the opportunity. And so we went out that night, and then we didn't see anything. We went out the next day. We were sitting till about 9:30 when I saw some does running, and he was chasing after. And when I finally got a broadside shot, I shot.
How far was he away?
50 or 60 yards.
Okay, and so what happened after you shot?
We waited a little bit and we went down to track. It took us a little bit to find some blood, but then when we did, we called my cousin and uncle and they helped us track him.
And so was this actually your first hunt ever?
No, I've gotten many deer before this.
Many deer? How many?
I think this is my 10th.
10th deer? How many bucks have you shot?
3 other ones in this.
How old are you?
14.
Holy cow, so you're like an old pro at this.
I guess, yeah.
Tell us what happened out there.
So this was like the last night of youth season, so we were like, oh, it's fine, we'll just wait. Like, we'll got gun and we'll got bow and everything. But my dad was trying to tell me to go out with the gun, and I was like, I got a feeling that I want to go out with the bow, and obviously it paid off. But we went out there and we were in the tree stand, and we had 6-point and an 8-point, like just a nice 6-point and 8-point come out. And then we had this like fork on one side. I think it was like, it was like a fork on one side, and it was like really crazy. It had velvet hanging off, and they were all out, just out of range. And I was like, oh, hopefully they circle around because I can shoot like behind us in the tree. And then I was looking at my dad, and like this was like, I don't know, like 40 minutes before like it was gonna be like sunset, or like when we weren't supposed to be shooting anymore. And so I looked at my dad and I was like, I was like, have you ever shot anything in youth season? And he's like, no. And I was like, oh, it must just be the Mallory luck. And I turned around and I go, big buck, big buck. And he walked in and it felt perfect. It was just right.
So how far away was this buck when you saw him, and then how far away when you shot him?
He was like 20 yards away when I saw him, and he was 13 when I shot him.
I think he just crashed.
So did you guys know right away it was a good shot? Did you get to see him go down or anything?
Well, so we didn't get to see him go down, but we heard him, and it was like it sounded like somebody was cutting trees. Like, it was like you heard him go down. And for a second, I thought I like hit him in like the shoulder blade, and like thought I was gonna like drop him right there or something bad happened. But then we looked over the footage, and I was like, oh my gosh, I shot him perfectly. It felt so good.
This is Brock Pape. This one was shot in Berry County with a 450. This one scores 161 and 7/8, a 12-point. It's kind of a mainframe 8 with all sorts of stickers on it. Brock, this is a really cool buck. Tell us what happened on this hunt.
It was a dark morning. It was like 8 in the morning, and I looked up, and he was just standing there. And I didn't even have time to really think about anything, so I went to put my phone on the seat.
You're in the truck at this point?
Yeah, no, in my tree.
So I rolled down the window. And
But, no, so I went to put my phone underneath me where I was sitting. Well, my phone fell, so I caught it before it hit my platform. I just pulled up, and I'm like, okay, I got to get a shot. So I got a shot, and I watched him go down.
Gun season? Or?
Gun season, yep, November 17th. And my little brother was hunting about 100 yards away from me, and he watched him go down, and I called him, and I told him, you're going to have to go down there and look at that thing, because I can't leave the stand right now. But,
so did you get a look at how, I mean, he's super tall and heavy. Could you see all that?
Yeah, we were hunting this deer. Okay. Yeah, we've had him on camera all year. We knew his routine, so it was only a matter of time. But, yeah.
So how old was he? And kind of walk me through, after the shot, what all went down.
I don't know how old he is, honestly, but, well, my brother finally got down to go look at him. And I got sick of waiting on him to give me a call back, so I ended up getting down. And we were both about 50 yards from him, and I seen the kickers, and we just started cheering, and big hugs and chest bumps and all the good stuff.
All right, so November 16th, 2023. Was it afternoon hunt?
Afternoon. Yep, I hunted the morning. Saw a really heavy 8-point, and just decided to pass on him. I think he's really got potential for the coming year. I mean, he's bigger than him mass-wise. So the afternoon, I'm hunting kind of a chunk of big pines, and a bunch of does come blowing out the south side of it, and he's behind him. And he's broadside coming out this way, chasing him. It's right at 200 yards at that corner. And I didn't look at the rack. I really didn't. I saw him, and okay. And I get on the rifle, shoot, and he does nothing. I chamber another round. All the does are getting a clue of what's happening here. They all run back in the pines, and he starts running. And I've got probably 15 yards before he's gone in the pines. So I put it on his brisket, touched it off, and they were all gone, into the pines. So we have a shooting lane cut through there, and the other deer that were out there come filtering through. He didn't come through, so that was a good sign. I got down before it got dark so I could see if I could find some blood. And probably 30 yards before I got to where he was at, there was 2 bucks fighting inside the pines just to my right. Probably, I don't know, sounded like they were right next to me. Come to find out later on, he was down, and somebody was getting a little bit of payback on him. But yeah, I actually backed out after finding a little bit of blood, waited about an hour, came back out, and he was just inside there. Didn't go 20.
I caught a glimpse of something coming up the fence row, and I look, and it's coming right at me, 30, 40 yards at that point. So I turned to my left and placed my crossbow. I'm just hoping this deer's gonna, stay in line right tight to the fence row. So I just put my crossbow there, kept my eye on the scope, and waited till he reached my crosshairs, fired it.
And so this was this buck here, and you could see how big he was?
Actually not. I've always been a hunter that focuses on the shot and not so much the rack, because I just want to make the shot, because you're not going to get the deer if you don't make that shot. And I knew it looked nice, but I had no idea he had this palmation at that point. So my grandsons were with us when we tracked, and we all had flashlights. I took the older grandson, Aiden, and he was just tight with me. He's been my good luck charm all along. And so we're going along, and all of a sudden, there he lay. And he had only one side of his antlers up and the other one down. And I went to reach, for that rack. And then I was amazed at this palmation. And then we're and Aiden goes, "Grandma, you just shot a monster." So
what did they think of Grandma shooting a monster buck?
Well, he's just like, "Grandma, you're the best hunter ever."
Giddy up! We are here with Joseph Anderson from St. Clair County over in my neck of the woods with this beautiful symmetrical 12-point, 168 inches. Now, you shot this during firearm season with your 450 Bushmaster. Morning or evening hunt?
It was morning hunt. I went in about an hour before daylight. I missed the bugger on the 17th of November, and I thought I was all done with it, and I told a buddy of mine I brought a blind in to sit in, and he says, "What are you, nuts? You can't do that on the day you're going hunting." So he says, "You might as well take a lawn chair and put it in the middle of the woods." So that's what I did on the 19th. I got a lawn chair, and I sat right in the middle of the woods, and I had deer, turkeys on top of me an hour before daylight, and then I seen the does come in with a buck chasing them, and there was probably 3 different bucks running through there and chasing, snort wheezing, and it was a hunt of a lifetime. But I looked to my left. I turned in my chair and went to take a better look at that 8-point, and I seen him on the left side cutting across about 90 yards away. And I only have one shot, single shot, 450. And I just picked an opening, and when he filled the scope, that's when I popped it off, and I seen the blood on the side, so I knew I hit him good.
So how far did he go?
He only went about 40 yards, but he didn't bleed at all. He climbed in this ditch and laid underneath a bush, and I couldn't find him forever. I went back to my seat 3 different times, verifying where I hit the deer at. Couldn't find any blood, but he was only 40 yards away, and I did the circle thing, and I found him, and I had a tear in my eye because my dad helped me track this sucker. Yep, he passed away a while back, but I always had to find his deer for him, so.
So your dad was there with you in spirit.
Well, actually, I had pictures of this buck in 2021. He was a respectable 10-point, but he pretty much disappeared for the hunting season. And then in 2022, I actually missed a shot on him on Halloween, and the last picture I had of him was November 13th in 22, and I just figured somebody else had taken him. 2023 rolls around, I start getting pictures of him almost daily.
How big a piece of property are you hunting?
65 acres. And again, around Halloween, I missed a shot on him. My bolt kind of snaked through some brush. And so I thought, okay.
Kind of snakes through some brush. How much brush we talking?
Enough to miss the buck, so he was gone, and I thought I'd never see him again. But then on the 4th, November 4th, I had him coming in. I was in a tower blind, and when I reached for my crossbow, I kind of spooked him. So he was gone again. And then on the 7th, I was in a ground blind on a small food plot I have and had another shot opportunity at him, and he was gone again.
What happened on that one?
I'm guessing he ducked the arrow because later we noticed he had a split back strap. So
I don't know if you've got bad luck or he's got good luck.
Well, on the 16th in the afternoon, I went into a stand, and about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I saw a buck chasing a doe. Texted my brother-in-law because they were kind of heading where he was sitting, and I grunted a couple times, hit the doe bleat, and there he was coming through the swamp straight at me. And he held up in a thicket about 50 yards out, and I waited, and finally he stepped into the open, and I took the shot. So.
Well, that is a heck of a story and one heck of a buck. John, that is a buck of a lifetime, though. Let's give him a round of applause for 168 out of St. Joe County.
Well, we went out on Sunday night, me and my dad did, and we had Monday off, so we decided to try to give it a go. And I hunted a stand that I haven't hunted in about 2 years because the wind was kind of wrong for my other stand, and I had just got busted by a 6-point behind me, so I figured the wind still wasn't right for this stand, but I just kind of hung tight. It was a nice night, and about 15 minutes before end of light, I see, a deer kind of come through the woods kind of fast, and then another one, and then a third one came by, and then I see horns, and the fourth one, I said, oh, and it ran, and I had 2 shooting lanes. I didn't even cut any shooting lanes because I didn't plan on hunting this stand, and he sat in the one shooting lane. I pulled back my bow, and he stepped in the other one, and I shot, and kind of that's it.
Wow. Now, how far away was he when he just...
Oh, he was about 30 yards when I shot, and immediately I heard the sound every archer loves to hear, that thwack, and texted my dad. He came over there, and we looked, and the arrow was fully bloody, and we went, and 6 yards away, he was down.
All right. Did you know this buck?
No, I had no idea he was here. The neighbor came and helped us drag this deer out, and he's been hunting that area, and he has never saw this since he's 65 years old, and he hasn't saw a deer like this, and this whole time hunting since he was 14. And
all right, this is Chris Haas. This one scores 169. St. Joe County, shot with a 450, an 11-point with some long tines. Chris, what happened on this hunt?
Well, I saw him the first time in 2022, was out of town, and got a text from my camera, and he was nice, but not quite this nice. And a couple weeks after that, I actually got a shot at him, missed him on purpose, and
missed him on purpose.
Just kidding. Just
warning shot.
Warning shot. Gave him.
Don't come around here no more.
Yeah, didn't work. And so, and then I saw him on a camera after the season, and so I knew he had made it. And then again, I'm out of town on September 30th at about 2:30 in the morning. My phone started going crazy, and I started checking it, and it was him, and he was still in full velvet. And so, I just couldn't believe how big he was and how nice he looked. I actually woke up my wife and wanted to show her the picture. She wasn't as impressed as I was at 2:30 in the morning. But
really,
yeah, I know, right? So anyways, I didn't see him again until November 10th on a camera, again out of town. And so when I came back on the 12th, I just hunted hard that whole week. And on November 18th, I was out with a couple other buddies, and I went to the same stand that I'd missed him in, and he came in with a doe at about 9:30, about 50 yards, and I shot, and he took off, and I just started spinning and seeing stars. I thought I was going to hyperventilate, and those guys started texting me, and they came over, and by the time they got there, I'd already found him. He'd ran about 50 yards.
Yeah, so opening night, we're actually in Denver Saturday night for a wedding, and so we got up early to fly back so I could go hunting with a 4-month-old baby. And about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was getting ready to lay down for a nap, and my wife looked at me and said, "If you're going to go hunting, you better get moving." And in 14 years, I think that's the first time she's ever said that to me, and I didn't want to mess it up, so I got up and put my clothes on and went out there. It was very warm, so it was mostly me fighting with mosquitoes for about 3.5, 4 hours. And right about sunset, 3 does came out opposite side of the field. And just watching them, and all of a sudden they start coming towards me, and they stopped right at the edge of the wood line. I'm sitting about 30 yards back. And I'm just trying to figure out, did they smell me, or are they looking back? I can't tell which way they're looking. And this guy did me a lot of favors, because while I was focused on them, he snuck in. So I never even saw him. The first thing I saw was behind the tree. I just saw this silhouette come up off the ground and go back behind the tree. And so I knew he was right there at 30 yards. And it was probably only 3 or 4 minutes. Probably felt like an hour, because if he could go left, I could get a shot. If he could go right, I could get a shot. But if he walked out into that field, he was gone. So like I said, it was probably just a couple of minutes, and he finally stepped back out. He only ran about 20, 30 yards right towards me, crashed about 15 yards from my stand. And so I'm 98% sure he's laying right there, but I don't want to mess with it. So, now at this point, the buck fever finally sets in. So I'm trying to get my phone out to text my brother and my brother-in-law, like, "Hey, you guys need to get over here." And they don't believe me. And of course, so that whole roll. But eventually, finally got one of them out there. They both came, actually, as the whole family came out. And, he was right there where he crashed. We'd been after him for a couple of years, obviously, and very excited to get him on opening day.
Well, we had been sitting out on the blind for about an hour. This was during the youth hunt, so this was September 10th. I was sitting out there with my dad, and we hadn't seen much, mostly just does. There was a couple nice bucks out, and then all of a sudden a bunch of deer started to come out. There was some nice bucks, and I got my gun ready, and my dad's like, "No, not yet." And I'm like, "What do you mean, not yet?" He didn't tell me that this buck was out there, but he knew it was out there. And
how big a piece of property do you guys hunt there?
Not massive, but it's pretty nice size.
Half an acre or something like that?
I think it's a little more than that.
Okay.
But there was just quite a bit of deer out there, and then this guy walked out, and I couldn't get a good shot at him at first because there was just like does. It's weird. They were almost making a wall in front of him. I couldn't even see most of his body. And then
how far was he at that point?
Probably 175 yards. And then all those does cleared out, and he stood up, and I got my gun ready, and I shot. And I thought I missed him at first because he ran like nothing happened. I was like, "Oh no!" I was very disappointed with myself. And then,
so it's just you and your dad in the blind?
Yeah. And then About another 50 yards, his front right leg went down, and then he went down, and me and my dad were jumping up and down in the blind like a bunch of little kids. So,
well, technically, you still are a little kid.
Whatever. I started driver's training in April.
Well, you got that going for you. So you weren't sure when the shot went off. What was going on in the blind? Were you like quick rack another shell because you thought you missed? What was going on?
I don't know.
Was your dad yelling at you, shoot him again, or was it?
We both just kind of looked at each other like, dang it, and then he went down, and we were like, oh.
And, I mean, Missaukee County, typically you don't see a ton of deer like this up there. Was it pretty shocking when you walked up to see just how big he was?
Yeah, it was like I walked up there, and it was like just insane. I didn't even think I was real. I was like, somebody pinch me, wake me up.
Special thanks to everyone that was involved in both of our big buck nights. It's always fun to see the big racks and to hear the big stories. And who knows, with a little luck, maybe you'll be on stage next year with your monster buck right here on Michigan Out of Doors.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by.
Do you dream of somewhere bigger than your backyard? You can get there with Greenstone. Whether you want to hunt, fish, hike, or just watch the sunset, we're ready to help you own your place in the great outdoors. To learn more, visit greenstonefcs.com.
By Alta Equipment Company, providing sales, rentals, service, and parts because uptime matters. From earth moving to landscaping and light construction, Alta offers over 50 brands across 7 Michigan locations to serve you. More information online or 844-GO-2-ALTA.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my